Hey everyone. Feeling a little overwhelmed with all this AI news lately,
Yeah, it's a lot.
especially with what's going on over in China right now.
Yeah.
It's pretty mind-blowing. But don't worry, because today we're going to take a deep dive beyond just the headlines
Right.
into what's really happening with AI development and what it means for all of us.
Definitely. Yeah.
We've got some super interesting insights from Gary Marcus's newsletter and then all the buzz around DeepSeek to unpack.
Oh, yeah.
So let's jump right in. This DeepSeek thing.
Oh.
Have you been following this?
Yeah, it's amazing how this relatively small startup out of China
Right.
is suddenly, like, challenging the big guys.
I know.
They've built an AI model
Huh?
that's practically as powerful as, say, OpenAI's GPT-4.
Right.
But here's the crazy part.
Okay.
They did it for something like $6 million.
6 million.
OpenAI spent north of $600 million.
100 times less. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's like finding a gourmet meal
Yeah.
for the price of like a cheap cup of coffee.
Really turning heads.
Totally.
And then on top of that,
Yeah.
they're not keeping it to themselves either.
No.
They've made the whole thing open source.
They're just sharing it with the world.
Yeah. It's like they're giving away the secret recipe.
I know. Everyone can, like, study it,
Tinker with it.
potentially build on it.
Exactly. It totally changed the idea that you need, like, tons of money and giant computers
Right.
to be a major player in the AI world.
Yeah, who needs those massive server farms when you can?
Right. I don't know. It's wild.
Yeah. Think about the impact on companies like Nvidia.
Ooh, good point.
They've been doing so well selling those super expensive AI chips.
Right, right.
What happens when everyone figures out they can achieve the same results
Yeah,
with cheaper and less powerful hardware?
could be huge.
Yeah, we could be looking at a major shakeup in the industry.
It feels like DeepSeek is like the David
Yeah.
going up against the Goliath of OpenAI.
And this time, David might actually have a slingshot that can level the playing field.
It's an interesting analogy.
But speaking of OpenAI, it seems like they might be having a bit of a rough time lately.
Yeah.
And not just because of DeepSeek, right?
They've had to push back the release of GPT-5, which kind of makes it seem like they're struggling to keep up.
Makes sense.
And then, if you dig a little deeper, there are reports of revenue going down
Oh, wow.
and some pretty important people leaving.
Really?
Yeah, like co-founders
Oh,
and even their CTO.
no way.
And there's some chatter questioning Sam Altman's leadership.
Interesting.
There are even some comparisons to, like,
WeWork.
that company that was super hyped up, but then ultimately just crashed and burned.
Oh, yeah, right.
And one thing that could be hurting OpenAI
Yeah.
is this whole strategy of betting everything on one massive AI model.
One massive model, huh?
It's like they're putting all their eggs in one basket.
Okay, yeah, I see that.
Whereas DeepSeek and even Meta are trying something different.
Oh.
Yeah, like imagine instead of one giant AI brain trying to do everything, you have a whole network of smaller, more focused models that work together.
Okay.
Sort of like a team of specialists,
Yeah.
each with their own area of expertise.
Interesting.
This multi-model approach could be more adaptable, you know,
Yeah.
more efficient,
Right.
maybe even safer, because you're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're not just talking about cheaper AI anymore. We're
Yeah.
talking about like a totally different way of thinking about AI development.
Exactly.
But the big question is cheaper really better?
Right.
I mean, I'm seeing some pretty mixed opinions about DeepSeek out there.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's definitely where things get really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Some people are saying that DeepSeek is like a hero,
A hero.
breaking down barriers,
Okay.
making powerful AI available to everyone.
Right.
But then you have others who are calling it a cheap knockoff.
A knockoff.
Yeah. They're saying it might not be as reliable or capable as the pricier models.
So like with any new thing,
Yeah.
there's tons of hype and also tons of skepticism.
Yeah.
But the truth is probably somewhere in the middle.
Right.
So how do we, like the non-experts,
Yep.
navigate this?
It's a good question.
What should we be paying attention to?
Well, one thing to think about is that this race to build cheaper AI might have hidden costs.
Oh, okay.
If companies are trying to save money,
Yeah.
are they maybe cutting corners on things like testing or safety?
Yeah, that's a good point.
We need to be careful about the possibility of unreliable AI,
Yeah.
spreading misinformation,
Right.
or even being used to do harm.
That's scary.
Yeah.
So it's like that saying, if something seems too good to be true,
Yeah, exactly.
it probably is.
It's worth keeping in mind.
But then, on the other hand, what if this actually is a chance to make AI more accessible to everyone?
Right.
Not just the giant corporations with tons of money.
Yeah.
Could this be the beginning of a more equitable AI world?
That's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
That's exactly why this whole DeepSeek thing is so captivating.
I know, right?
It's not just a tech competition.
It's bigger than that.
Yeah, it's a turning point that makes us really think about who benefits from AI
Right.
and how we can make sure it's used responsibly.
My brain is already feeling like it needs a RAM upgrade just to keep up with all of this.
Uh-huh. I know what you mean.
But before we completely lose track, let's zoom out for a second, look at the bigger picture.
Okay.
DeepSeek is shaking things up.
Oh.
OpenAI might be on shaky ground.
Yeah.
Even Nvidia, the king of AI chips, might have reason to be a little worried.
It's true.
So who wins in all of this?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Is it us, the consumers?
Yeah.
Is it the companies?
I think maybe it's too early to say who wins.
Yeah.
But focusing just on who's ahead in the AI race
Mm-hmm.
might be missing the point entirely.
Okay, I like that.
What if the real question is, how do we make sure that AI benefits everybody?
How do we make sure it's a force for good?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do we get past the hype
Right.
and make sure AI is developed responsibly and ethically?
This is the kind of thinking I love.
Yeah.
Speaking of responsible development, let's talk about this move by Meta.
Okay.
They decided to open source their, what is it?
Their large language model, or LLM?
Yeah, their LLM. They're basically sharing their AI tech with the whole world.
It's a big move.
But some people are worried that this could backfire,
Oh, yeah.
especially when it comes to China,
Ah, right.
and their growing AI capabilities.
It's definitely a controversial decision.
It is.
Some people think Meta might have accidentally given China a boost,
A boost?
Yeah, by giving their researchers a head start.
I see.
It really raises the question of whether open source AI, while it can democratize technology,
Right.
could also unintentionally fuel competition
Yeah.
in a way that maybe isn't good for everyone.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
So we've got a lot to think about here.
we do.
Open source development,
Uh-huh.
cost efficiency,
Right.
geopolitical competition.
Yeah.
It's all kind of swirling around in this fascinating but also kind of unsettling AI landscape. What's really interesting to me is that it's not just about the technology itself.
No.
It's about the human choices and decisions that are shaping its evolution.
Exactly.
Which brings us to another important piece of this whole puzzle.
Okay.
Something that we often forget about in all the excitement about algorithms and processing power,
And what's that?
the human element.
The human element, of course.
Exactly. Because ultimately, AI is a tool
Yeah.
created by humans,
Right.
for humans.
Right.
It's not some mysterious force out there operating on its own.
No, it's not.
And like any powerful tool, it has the potential for incredible good.
Absolutely.
But also, well, let's just say things could go very wrong if we're not careful.
Very true.
But before we go down that rabbit hole, I think we need a little break to gather our thoughts.
I agree.
Get ready for the final stretch of this deep dive.
Right.
Stick around, there's a lot more to uncover.
Can't wait. Yeah, sometimes it does feel like we're so focused on who's winning the AI race
I know, right?
that we kind of forget to ask the bigger questions
Mm-hmm.
about how AI is actually going to impact all of our lives.
Our everyday lives,
Yes.
our jobs,
Right.
even what it means to be human.
It's like AI has become this mirror reflecting all our hopes and anxieties about the future.
It's true.
On one hand, we see this amazing potential, right?
Oh, yeah.
Cures for diseases.
Solutions to climate change.
Yeah, and maybe a world where technology actually helps us live better lives.
Easier lives, for sure.
Exactly.
But then there's that flip side, the fear of robots taking our jobs,
Yeah.
AI becoming too powerful and getting out of control.
Right, or even being used for, bad stuff.
Oh, yeah. The bad stuff is what keeps me up at night.
Those are definitely valid concerns,
They are
and we need to be talking about them
100%.
as we navigate this whole new world.
New world, totally new territory.
It's not about, pretending AI isn't happening
No.
or demonizing it.
Right.
It's about having these honest, open conversations about the good and the bad
Yeah.
and figuring out how to guide this technology
Yeah.
in a way that benefits all of us.
Benefits humanity, right?
Exactly.
I think Gary Marcus, from his newsletter,
Yeah.
he seemed really worried about OpenAI messing up.
He did.
His whole comparison to WeWork was pretty intense.
Yeah, that WeWork analogy is interesting.
It is.
Because it shows what can happen when there's too much hype.
Right, too much hype.
And expectations get out of control.
Like a bubble.
Yeah, exactly.
And he thinks that OpenAI's reliance on this single massive model, that could be their downfall.
It's a risky strategy, that's for sure.
Like putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, exactly.
If that one model fails, if it can't keep up with the competition.
Or adapt.
Yeah.
Their whole approach could crumble.
It makes the multi-model approach, the one that DeepSeek and Meta are trying, makes it seem way more sensible, right?
Yeah, it's like having a diversified portfolio.
Yeah.
Instead of one giant AI trying to do it all, you have this network of smaller, specialized models.
Okay.
Each one trained for a specific job.
Specialized.
Yeah, like one's great at languages.
Okay.
One's a music composer.
Oh, cool.
And one's a doctor diagnosing diseases.
It's like a little AI society.
Yeah, sort of.
They can all work together.
Yeah, this kind of modular approach.
It could be way more efficient, right?
More efficient.
More adaptable.
And even safer.
Possibly, yeah. Because you're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how this shift could really change things up.
It's a big shift.
Not just for OpenAI,
right,
but for the whole field of AI.
It really is a whole new way of thinking about AI development.
And the impact on companies like Nvidia that make those expensive AI chips.
What happens to them?
Yeah, what happens when everyone starts building these smaller, more efficient models?
That don't need so much power.
Exactly. It's like the game changed while we were busy making the rules.
And suddenly, investing in all that super-powered hardware might not seem so smart.
Not so strategic.
Yeah.
It's like, who can adapt the fastest?
Who can innovate?
Who can build AI that's not just bigger?
Right.
But smarter.
Smarter and more efficient.
Yeah, I like that.
It's a whole new game.
Speaking of new games, let's talk about this whole open source thing.
Okay, yeah.
DeepSeek making their model open source was huge.
It was a big deal.
And then Meta followed suit with their LLM.
It's a trend.
What do you think about all this?
Well, open source has always been this incredible engine for innovation.
Yeah, in so many fields.
And now it's happening in AI.
It's exciting.
The potential is enormous.
Tell me more.
More collaboration, faster progress, more transparency.
Okay.
When you make your models and code public, you're basically inviting the whole world to contribute.
To the party.
Exactly. To build on what you've started.
To make it better.
To find all these new unexpected applications.
You're like, hey, come on in. Let's all work on this together.
Yeah, it's pretty inspiring, isn't it?
It is. It's like democratizing access to this incredibly powerful technology.
Yeah, but like with anything, there are potential downsides too.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The source we're using for this deep dive, they pointed out that Meta's decision to go open source might have accidentally helped China get ahead in the AI race.
Oh, right.
It makes you think, right?
It does.
Open source can speed up progress for everyone.
For better or worse, right?
Exactly, including those who might not use AI for, let's say, the best reasons.
Not so good reasons.
Right.
This is where it gets tricky.
It's definitely a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it really highlights how important it is to think about the consequences.
Yeah.
Both the good and the bad.
Of everything we do.
It's like we're at a crossroads.
We are.
With incredible potential down one road.
Yeah.
And who knows what down the other.
Bit scary, yeah.
Exhilarating and terrifying at the same time.
That's a good way to put it.
But hey, exploring the future was never going to be a walk in the park, right?
No, definitely not.
Okay. Gotta ask about the CHIPS Act.
Okay.
How does this whole new AI landscape with DeepSeek and everything impact this whole initiative?
It's a great question.
Because the CHIPS Act was all about boosting chip production in the U.S.
Right, to make sure we stay ahead of the game.
Especially ahead of China.
Yeah.
But if these new, more efficient AI models mean that we need fewer of those super powerful, super expensive chips.
The ones Nvidia's built their business on.
Exactly.
Then the CHIPS Act might not be the answer anymore.
It's like we were so busy writing the rule book
that we didn't see the game changing.
It's not just about who has the biggest, baddest chips anymore. It's about who can adapt.
Who can innovate.
Who can come up with these AI models that are just smarter.
Yeah, not just bigger.
Which brings us back to that fundamental question.
The big one.
How do we ensure AI benefits everyone?
What's the most important question?
How do we build a future where AI is a force for good?
Yeah, a tool that helps humanity instead of dividing us or controlling us.
I feel like this is a question for, like, a whole team of philosophers.
Possibly, yeah.
But before we get too deep into existential pondering,
Okay.
let's bring it back to the human element.
Yeah.
We've talked about open source.
The good and the bad.
But how do we make sure that the AI we're building actually aligns with our values?
Our human values.
Exactly. AI that respects human rights and dignity.
This is where it gets really interesting.
I know, right?
It's not just about the technology.
No.
It's about the choices we make.
For choice.
As individuals, as societies, as a global community.
It's about realizing we're not just passengers on this AI journey.
We're the ones driving.
We're the ones holding the steering wheel.
And making sure it goes in the right direction.
It really does feel like we're building this amazing, powerful machine.
Yeah.
But we haven't quite figured out.
The instruction manual.
Yeah. Like, are we sure we want to plug this thing in?
The stakes are high.
Super high.
We're not just talking about some sci-fi robot takeover either.
Yeah.
It's about the everyday stuff, you know?
Yeah.
The choices we make, the values we build into these systems.
How we use AI to make decisions, solve problems.
Exactly.
And we've already seen examples of AI systems reflecting, like, existing biases, making inequality worse.
Yeah, and even being used to manipulate people.
That's scary.
That's why this human element is so crucial.
I think so, too.
It's not enough to just build AI that's smarter.
No, it's got to be good.
It has to be aligned with our values, with our vision for a better world.
A more just world.
Right, a more equitable society.
It's like we're raising a kid, you know?
Teaching them right from wrong.
Exactly. But this kid could impact millions of lives.
Billions, even.
So how do we teach it right from wrong?
How do we make sure it's used for good?
That it respects people.
Doesn't just amplify the problems we already have.
Yeah, these are the tough questions.
They are.
And I don't think it's enough to just, like, write up some ethical guidelines.
Or set up a committee.
Yeah, it's got to be deeper than that.
It's a fundamental shift in how we think about AI.
A shift.
Yeah, like recognizing that AI isn't some separate thing.
Right.
It's an extension of ourselves, of our values.
Our creation.
Our responsibility.
I agree, but it can feel overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
Like, AI is moving so fast. Most of us don't have, like, a computer science degree. What can we actually do to make a difference?
Don't underestimate yourself. Your voice matters. Your choices matter.
How so?
Stay informed. Read about AI. Listen to podcasts like this one.
Educate yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. Understand the basics. Think about how it could affect your life.
Knowledge is power.
It really is.
And then, once you have that knowledge, use it.
Speak up.
Question things.
Challenge the assumptions you hear.
Don't just accept the status quo.
Exactly. Hold companies accountable.
For the AI they're building.
Yes. Demand transparency. Push for ethical guidelines.
To support the good guys.
Yeah. The organization's fighting for responsible AI.
This is where our choices come in, right?
Yes.
The products we buy, the companies we support.
Even the politicians we vote for.
Make your voice heard.
Absolutely.
So it's about understanding AI, but also understanding ourselves, our values.
And using that understanding to shape the future.
A future where AI benefits everyone.
That's the goal.
And realizing that we're not just passengers on this ride.
We're the ones driving.
Steering the ship, making the choices that matter.
That's a great way to put it.
Oh, remember that whole thing about Nvidia and those AI chips?
Yeah, the potential for disruption in the hardware market.
It's crazy how interconnected this whole AI ecosystem is.
It really is.
If the demand for those big, powerful chips goes down,
the ones Nvidia's been selling,
it could change everything.
Ripple effects throughout the whole industry.
And the GPS Act.
Right.
If the goalposts have moved.
If smaller, more efficient models are the future.
Does it still make sense to focus on building more and more powerful chips?
It's a question we need to ask.
Maybe we should be investing in new types of chips.
More specialized, more efficient.
Designed for this new generation of AI.
It's a fascinating feedback loop.
It is. AI software pushing changes in hardware.
And then those changes influencing future AI development.
It's like a dance back and forth.
Always evolving, hard to predict where it'll go next.
That's what makes it so exciting.
The possibilities are endless.
But we can't get so caught up in the excitement.
That we forget about the human side of things.
The ethics, the social impact.
Building a future where AI serves us, not the other way around.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
It's been a great conversation.
Super insightful. I've learned a lot.
Me too.
So, to wrap things up.
Okay.
We've explored the changing landscape of AI.
From cheap models to open source and everything in between.
And the big question of how to make sure it benefits everyone.
The most important question.
Keep those brains buzzing, folks.
Yeah, keep learning, keep thinking.
The future of AI is not set in stone.
It's something we're all creating together.
So let's make it a good one.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep on diving deep.